Some of the fastest horses around. It's been won by Australia on 5 occasions. Let's take a look at the runners that will face the 5 furlongs, 1,000 metres this year. Headed by number 1, Diligent Harry. He's already at the start. He went down to the start long time ago. Ross Ryan aboard. The horse is 0 for 14 on turf. Number 2, Emirati Anna, a winner over in Qatar during the spring with Safi Osborne. 3, Equality, Jamie Spencer. 4, Kurdos and Richard Kingscote. 5 is Regional and Callum Rodriguez. Number 6, Rogue Lightning, ridden by James Doyle. 7, Twilight Calls, Ryan Moore. Number 8, The Hope of Australia, Asfura and Sheen Murphy. And number 9, Believing, is the mount of Danny Turnope. 10 is Makarova and Paul Morena. Number 11 is The Dream, running at her 4th Royal Ascot with Kieran Schumacher aboard. 12 is Big Evs, the winner of the Windsor Castle last year, and his sire, Blue Point, won this race twice in 2018 and 2019. Tom Marquand, his usual rider, back aboard. Holly Doyle is on number 13. Killian, number 14, is Pura Sangue, the mount of David Probert. 15, 7 Questions, and Callum Shepherd. 7 Questions has been led to the start. He's already at the start now. Number 16 is Valiant Force with David Egan. The last Irish-trained horse to win was Soul Power in 2014. And number 17 is Crimson Advocate, having her first run now for the Gosdens, having previously been trained in America by George Weaver.
Yes, we can see down here in the betting ring, lots of places to bet with the Tote Whirlpool on the exchanges, here with the bookmakers as well. As you can see, Emirati Anno going to post as well, number 2, and following that down, number 14, Purosang, with number 7, Twilight Calls and Ryan Moore. Twilight Calls is 14 to 1 for Ryan Moore, of course. He's 2 to 1 on to be champion jockey come Saturday evening. Big Evs, 11 to 4, 11 to 2, Asfura, very strong, the Australian mare. The mount of Sheen Murphy, very strong. Regional 6 to 1. Believing 8 to 1. What do you believe? Can it beat us on a Blue Point? Looks well. 11 to 4. Favourite.
Now, don't be surprised if you see any of these horses on their toes and jig-jogging. They are 5 furlong sprinters and they are the real speedsters. This is 16. Good-looking individual. That's Valiant Force over from Ireland. Second to Big Evs in the juvenile turf Breeders' Cup sprint at the end of last year. And he spent the winter over in America, actually. Now he's back in Ireland. And, wow, he looks like he's done really well. Might have a little bit to prove on form, but he's a big, strong boy. Now 11, very much on his toes. Oh, her toes. That's For Dream. No explanation for the disappointment at Haydock last time, and you'd think the conditions will be a bit firm for her today. 9 is Believing, who's just heading out. She'll probably be mounted early or mounted in the chute and go down. She was really good winning at Haydock last time, back up in grade here today. 8 is Asfura. This is the Australian runner. Now she's a little bit wintry in her coat because in her head she was going from the summer into the winter in Australia, and now she's got plenty of shine in her coat but a little bit of length to it. She ran at Haydock. She was a pass there. She didn't win, but she ran well enough. And look, back in Australia she'd be considered probably a notch below the very best of their sprinters, but compare her to the likes of Hortensia, who came here and won races throughout our British season. She'd probably be in a similar category. 6 is Rogue Lightning, only 6th on his seasonal reappearance at Haydock. So that suggests to me that he's got plenty to prove at this level. He was bought for a lot of money at the end of last season after a bit of a luckless run in the Abbey. He's nice and calm and pretty relaxed, actually. 4 is Kurdos, a good winner of the Temple Stakes last time. You kind of wonder, was there an element of fluke about that? A lot of people would say no, but there was a bit of a funny ground day that day. So it'd be good to see him do it again, and at this level. He's got a nice strong hind quarter, hasn't he? Good shine on his coat, and he looks really well, and we will catch up with the rest out on track.
Well, here is Team Big Evs, Mick Appleby, Breeders' Cup winning trainer, Tom Marquand, Breeders' Cup winning jockey, and Paul Teasdale, Breeders' Cup winning owner. And Paul, for our viewers who don't know, just remind us how this horse got his name.
He got his name from a friend of mine who died a couple of years ago, a guy called Paul Evans, fondly known as Big Evs, and we named him after Paul, just to really keep the memory alive, and he's done more than that. He's done an amazing job.
He really has, and if there is a
a good lord up there. Hopefully he will be cheering him home in a minute. Now tell me, we've been crying out for a real class 3-year-old 5 furlong sprinter. It looks like your boy is that, doesn't it?
We hope so. We've got it all to do today, and let's hope he runs a good race.
Paul Mick is playing his cards quite close to his chest, but this is a proper machine. Came back with an absolute bang this season.
He did, yeah. I mean, he did a job well at York. Probably not his ideal track, but now he's come here fresh, well, so hopefully he can get the job done.
And with the result in the last race, the draw might not be too bad as well.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Just out of interest, Tom, would you prefer to be drawn higher?
I think if you had a choice, you probably would have done. But there's not, there's not stalls the whole way across the track. We've still got a bit of a choice. But like I say, with the winner coming last is probably a bit of a plus for us.
It's a big race for Big Evs.
And here's Tom a few moments ago with the jockey cam heading to post on Big Evs. They'll come back an awful lot faster. Can they deliver in the big sprint? We'll find out in a moment.
To enter, you could scan that QR code there for the feature race on Thursday, the Gold Cup. As we build up to the King Charles III Stakes here, the feature race on Thursday is that Gold Cup. You can scan that code and play Crown Jewels Racing Fantasy there. Pick your team. You can take on a host of experts, completely free to play. We've taken you all around the world, so Saudi to America for all 3 legs of the Triple Crown, Dubai, and here the feature flat race of the season at Royal Ascot. Play along now.
Got a lovely shot of Kev leading round regional, of course. Broke through into the big time last season at Haydock, and he's a really laid back character, just walking past. There's Ryan Moore going past on Twilight Calls, and he's a regular in these races. This is the one I want to see. This is the Australian mare just coming down here, Asfura. Funny enough, she behaved really well in the stalls at Haydock on her British debut, but she has been a little bit naughty sometimes in her native country, but you can see they're just putting the head collar on. That's Craig Witherford. It's a very kind, you just see the chain to the back, but it's very kind. You see it's all padded all the way around. They'll just take that red hood off, but yeah, she looks really relaxed actually.
So far we've had a winning favourite in Sharon, big turn up in the Coventry, and a trifecta that paid 122,667 quid. Wow, what is going to happen here?
Well, I know for one thing for sure, Michelle will be cheering on the Australian raid. As for you said she came from quite humble beginnings. Just tell us a bit more.
Oh, it's a great story. She was passed in actually for 24,000 Australian dollars. Nobody wanted her. She won her first 2 starts back home at very country tracks, like as pretty much as sort of low as you can go to start with. And she didn't win by huge margins or anything, but she just continued to improve and flourish. You can just see her there. She's just a real little pocket rocket, and she just loves the 5 furlongs.
And you know the trainer well because he's from, he lives in the same town as you, correct?
He's basically my next door neighbour, really. He's out the back of my farm, and it's a great training complex that we have at Ballarat where we get an opportunity to train up a rise, and I think that will really hold her in good stead for today.
Right, let's talk about some of the others. Jason, who do you like?
I think that Wathman, who've gone really close, can go and get the job done here with Rogue Lightning. The run at Haydock was really good. Francesca cannot have it at all. She's turned her nose up at me like when I tried to get in the carriage yesterday. And I will say that...
This morning, you mean?
Yeah, of course, this morning. But why can't you have Rogue Lightning? That was a good run at Haydock.
Well, was it? Because I think before that he was operating at a lower level. He was, 5th in the Abbey?
Oh, yeah, he ran a terrible race in the Prix de l'Abbey, the Group 1 on Arc weekend.
Okay, well, he didn't win, did he?
He ran a great race.
The return was okay. Physically, he's nice enough, but he's not special. I can't really get my head around the 1 million price tag for him, and sure, he can improve, but I think he needs to prove it. Well, surely Big Evs is the obvious one here. Why are we not all just on him?
It'd be a great story. His return victory was massive because we'd had that whole talk about whether horses had actually trained on or not, and he popped out. He didn't actually break the stalls like he normally does, but he travelled beautifully and he won well.
If you fancy big heads, you've got to have a couple of quid each way on Valiant Force, haven't you? He was right behind closing in America.
He knocked your eye out, didn't he?
Yeah, he looked so well in the paddock. He caught your eye as well. Valiant Force here back in this country now, but regional's not out of it either. Trainer Ed Bethel, this is would be his first winner, not only at Royal Ascot, but his first winner at the course, and for jockey Callum Rodriguez would be his first Royal Ascot winner.
So the last couple are moving forward. Emirati Anna goes into stall number 10 with Safi Osborne. We're down to the last 3 to go in. Believing the filly, we're going to stall 1 right over on the far side with Danny Tullope. Towards us in the dark blue, Equality moves forward into 13, and the red colours of 7 questions, Callum Shepherd into 3. The winners of 73 races between them. In the King Charles III Stakes Group 1, they're in the gate. And they're off and sprinting over 5 furlongs. Not a great beginning at the break for Rogue Lightning, who to alter fraction. Also Killian not that fast away. Regional is on the near side and showing very good early speed. Big Evs has got the overall lead right over on the far side, followed by Emirati Anna, also 7 questions. Then the turquoise of Makarova, also prominent on the far side, together with Kurdos. The smaller group on the near side have been headed by Regional, then the Australian mare Asfura racing into second. The Dream is in third on the near side. Valiant Force chasing in 4th position ahead of Equality. Already inside the final quarter of a mile, and it is Big Evs over on the far side who still blazes the trail. Believing is one of those who is picking up towards the near side. Asfura still has every chance. Regional is digging in. Asfura now has come alongside Big Evs. These two toe to toe with another 100 yards to go. Asfura wins for Australia. Regional in second, tight third. Big Evs all believing, followed by Kurdos and then Makarova. Twilight calls Emirati Anna, and with a little bit of late game was Purasangwe. At 5 to 1, Asfura has given Australia their 6th win in the King Charles III Stakes, and Asheen Murphy wins for Henry Aguirre and has won by about a length. Regional in second, Big Evs I think is third, Believing in 4th, then it's tight, Kurdos in the black, and then Twilight calls towards the near side. So another significant win here for Australia, who have won this race for the 6th time, and she's travelled across the world and she has scorched home.
Oh, Michelle, how good a performance was that? It's the Aussies again.
What a fairy tale. We'll be back next year, that's for sure now. That was just a brilliant ride by O'Sheen. He really settled her well in behind the leader on the outside, and I think that was the winning move for her, really, because she was able to be strong to the line. You saw the last sort of 50 metres, she was only just able to hang on, but that was just absolutely brilliant. Everybody back home will be cheering, and that's just so great to see.
They were worried about the climb here at Ascot, and admittedly she's gone looking for a bit of company as we've come up that final bit, but when that's a massive performance from her, a big step forward from Haydock where it was really deep ground. I'm sure she wouldn't have had those conditions back home.
Yeah, and a great call from the trainer Henry Dwyer to bring her, because yes, she was Group 1 placed, second in a Group 1 in Melbourne, but there's a lot of risk attached with bringing horses over, not least the financial implications of the cost bringing them, and then the need to perform when they've travelled halfway across the world. They've got to settle into a new climate.
Is that even more of a challenge with a mare, Francesca?
Yeah, I remember when Black Caviar came over, I think they had lots of issues with her cycling and all of that, and she didn't actually look great when she managed to win here. This filly was out of season, her coat had a bit of length to it. This is a pretty excited team. She's actually been staying with the Amy Murphy stable in Newmarket, and they will be, there we go.
She's going to enjoy it.
As well.
And the man on board is enjoying it as well. A 12th Royal Ascot win for this man, Asheen Murphy.
Asheen, acknowledging the support of the crowd here on Asfura. Asheen, I saw your face as you crossed the line. You looked over the moon. Talk me through it.
I'm thrilled for Connections. It's very brave to come from Australia with a very good horse, take all the travel and perform on the big day. And how good was she?
brilliant. Tell me about that turn of foot and what you thought about where Big Evs was and whether you were confident you were going to pick him up in the manner that you did as well.
I wasn't focusing on Big Evs, I was focusing on regional. He gave me the perfect toe to halfway, he gave me a nice lead. And we can turn here, darling. We can turn here, yeah. And look, she lugged a little bit right under pressure, is she, for company? But how good was she at the line?
She was absolutely magnificent. The cheers for you, fantastic. And you know, we've been a lot of people talking about who's the next big star here, Oisin. A lot of people pointing at you. Are you enjoying the adulation that you're getting here today?
It's hard to win Group 1s, and the King Charles III stake is a massive race, and I'm delighted, really, Rishi. Royal Ascot Day 1 to win a Group 1, brilliant.
Now, you're over the moon. Here comes the trainer, Henry Dwyer, but I wanted to speak to this young lady, Chanel.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Your reaction in particular has been almost better than Oisin's.
I've been here for the last nearly 2 months with her, and I've just done it every morning, every afternoon with her. She means the world to me. I'm so grateful to Henry and the owners for allowing me to come over here with her. Yeah, she's a star.
She is a star. One thing I wanted to ask, you mentioned about being here for 2 months. People have to understand the sacrifices that these horses require and the emotion that goes with that when it all comes off and it's worth it.
Yeah, it is. I know we were probably a little bit disappointed with her at the first run, but she took so much improvement from that. Yeah, I've got no words.
Well, we'll let the owner go in. You go in as well. You deserve it. Henry, well done. Enjoy it all. You've got Matt Chapman to look forward to for winning the race.
I'm sure he won't mind. And I think Chanel and a lad they call Shiny, Jade, on the left would have headed through the Golden Gates if Oisin hadn't turned them to turn around and come back through the tunnel to the winner's enclosure. You call him Shiny, do you, Jade?
We call him Shiny. He's #1 track work rider for Henry Dwyer and Chanel there, all the way from my hometown in Ballarat. And that rise and that testing hill that we have has really held her in good stead for today. And just a gem she is. She's, as you can see, just a beautiful natured horse, and I'd say that's why they brought her all the way across the other side of the world, because as we were speaking about, you need to have the right horse that can do that, and she's taking it all in her stride and put her best foot forward today as a career best run.
It's about to be an almighty Aussie celebration. I tell you what, though, the director of racing, Nick Smith, will be celebrating as well, because as you said at the start of the show, not that many international runners this week. Well, come along, guys. You can do it. Let's hope for more Aussies and international raiders next year. They've got the tie-up with Australia.
Yeah, there's a big synergy between the Victoria Racing Club and Royal Ascot. They're sister tracks, if you like. They both host the premier meetings in their respective countries, and lots of runners at Royal Ascot, but also run at the race meeting at Flemington.
The owners as well, Nora Lane Farm, the brothers Akram, Daniel and Moses, who own that farm in Australia. That is a plan brilliantly executed. Big Evs on the left ran really well from the front. Regional on the right, likewise. But they weren't good enough to catch Oisin Murphy. Yes! Let's confirm the result of the King Charles III Stakes then. The first 4 with those runners, all the bookmakers favour the first 4. Asfora was well backed in the end, won at 5-1. Regional in second at 6-1. Still got big races to win this summer. Likewise, Big Evs, the 3-year-old, finished in third at 11-4. Ran his heart out as he always does. Believing finished in fourth for Highclere Thoroughbreds at 9-1. Do we get a kiss, Oisin? Yes, we do. New name. Another Australian winner. The 8th Royal Ascot Sprint they've won. Choisir was first up in 2003. Asfora the latest for Henry Dwyer and Oisin Murphy.
Well,
Well, we talked of wanting an Aussie superstar, and we've had another Aussie winner in this race.
And it's so good for the meeting having an international winner. We didn't have perhaps the huge numbers of Aussie horses running here, but Aussie sprinters are the ones to beat globally.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the race, because again, they split, but it was the far side that had the advantage, and Big Evs did all the hard work, the favourite for Mick Appleby, Tom Marquand. Not easy to win from this position. You don't see many horses, particularly at this meeting, winning from the front, and, he really fought on well. But you can see the winner, Asfora, on that far side group, beautifully placed.
Yeah, it's so hard to do, trying to do what Big Evs was doing here. I mean, that is his want, that's the way he races, it's what he did last year when he won at the meeting. Last time on his reappearance run, he just missed the sort of midsection of the race and just dropped back a little and then picked up and went past horses. Look, I think Tom Marquand's had him where he wanted him, but unfortunately there was a faster finisher, a couple of faster finishers, including this Aussie sprinter, now the sixth to win this race. Look, whether or not she's up there with some of the previous ones, I don't know. One thing she's appreciated, quicker ground than that reappearance at Haydock on desperate ground.
Well, let's get on board Big Evs then with Tom Marquand and see it from his view. Beautiful lead for most of the race. Look at that. I mean, there's nothing like galloping a 5 furlong racehorse, but you can see just on the inside there she is, Asfora then.
It must be a fairly brutal feeling, mustn't it, to be out in front that long in open Group 1 company, and then, well, he to be fair, he'd hear them first, wouldn't he? He'd know that they're coming, he'd hear the who's behind, and no, that was game over. He was never going to fight back from there. Regionals run a great race, dropped back down to the minimum and stayed on really well to score. Near side didn't get into it.
No, what is interesting though is that they touched on this with the ITV coverage, is that Asfora's been over here, had a prep race, which is very different to the other Aussie horses that have come over. Do you remember Black Caviar, Nature Strip, who won this a couple of years ago, the likes of Schwazi? They come over for such a short period of time, whereas even Asfora had a bit of a woolly coat because it's obviously their winter. You know, having that little extra time to really acclimatise to the different hemisphere, not just continent, hemisphere, I think has made all the difference.
And interesting, they've gone with a rider that rides here, Oisin Murphy, who I think has given the horse the perfect straight course ASCOT ride. Brilliant to hear from the groom afterwards at how much it meant to her. She's travelled over with the mare, means the world to her, and that was very much seen as well. So look, that's what we want to see. We want international raiders to score at this meeting, and we want to see what it means to people, and that's exactly what we got. I think that's a great result.
It certainly is. And well done to the owner, Akram Al Fakri, who is his first time in Europe watching this horse. He's never left Australia. He's only left Australia to go to his native Lebanon. So what a trip for him. Coming and enjoying.
Worthwhile trip.
Certainly a worthwhile trip, and what a trip to Royal Ascot. Plenty more to look forward to. There one more Group 1 coming up. It's the St James's Palace Stakes.
From the backcountry of Ballarat all the way to Royal Ascot, Asfora has become the latest winner of the King Charles III Stakes under Oisin Murphy, punching the air there. And for trainer Henry Dwyer, that was a massive moment, and Matt caught up with connections.
Well, we've had to put up with Paul Perry, Joe Janiak, Lee Freeman, Chris Waller, the worst of all, of course, Peter Moody, who won the 6 furlong, and now Henry Dwyer. Henry, in any words you can, put this into some form of perspective.
I'm really struggling for words, Matt, funnily enough.
It's not something we can often say for an Australian.
We've come a long way from Ballarat, but it's been just an amazing experience from start to finish. We've been so well looked after, and we're so grateful for that. Just to all my staff at home, to my family at home, to Chanel, who's looked after this horse the whole time. She's sacrificed a lot to be here, and just thrilled for her, thrilled for Shiny that's come all the way from home, and to Mr. Al Fakri, the owner, who, it was a bit of an audacious plan. We got a bit of stick at home for bringing her over because she wasn't seen as one of our better sprinters, but we were just so confident she was really, really textbook wheelhouse 5 furlongs, and she's proven that today. And we just didn't have the races for her in Australia, but she's proved she's up to it, and I'm just so thrilled for everyone involved.
So you did accountancy at university. You're quoted as saying that if you hadn't made it as a trainer by the age of 30, you'd have probably gone into something else. You are here at Royal Ascot, a Group 1 winning trainer in the UK. It's been some journey.
I fully expected to probably be broke by the age of 30, Matt, and I was incredibly lucky to have a couple of Group 1 winners in my first year, and it's been a bit of a dry spell since then in terms of Group 1s, but this mare just really deserved one. She's had so much go against her in the Group 1 she's running in Australia, and she's just, to get a Group 1 at home's great, but to be at Royal Ascot and get a Group 1 is just amazing, and just we've got so many people here sharing it with us. We've got the owners, of course, but there's another group of 40 or 50 of my owners from home that would saw their left leg off to have a run at Royal Ascot, and they won't get the opportunity, but I just want them to feel a part of this, and they are. It's an amazing experience.
Henry, obviously people like Moody and Waller are names on the world stage, but no one should think that you're sort of training in the outback or something. I mean, your yard at Ballarat is absolute state of the art.
Oh, we've got a good stable, but it's very hard to find these sort of horses when you've only got 40 in work, and we turn over a few a year, but we don't expect to have these horses. It's just an absolute luxury to have them, and for Akram, the owner, to entrust me with training her, and as I said before, it was just such a gamble bringing her over. It's an incredibly expensive trip. We're getting a bit of help from Royal Ascot, but it's still a very expensive experience, and Akram's funding it one out. It's not a syndicate horse. He's paying up for it, and I think we've more than paid our way today.
Oh, you've done us in again. It's just unbearable. The Australian strike, but Dwyer, surname, it's got to be a bit of Irish in you somewhere.
I think we dropped the O off to make our way away from Ireland to pretend we weren't, but I think we're Irish at heart, and good to be in the old dart.
Yeah, good day, well done.
Thanks, Matt. Cheers.
Cheers, Henry.
And what a moment this is. King Charles, the race named after him, giving the prize to the owner breeder of a horse that carried the nation's hopes. Akram Al Fakri has made his first visit to Europe here, and he's meeting the King. He owns a taxi firm in Melbourne. He's got other business interests. He traces the origins of his passion for racing back to his parents' farm in Lebanon. And he's here with 5 members of his family. He's got around 40 friends as well. Akram will never forget this. Here comes the winning trainer as well. There are Aussie flags in the crowd celebrating. My goodness. We're going to keep the Aussie theme as this presentation goes on, because Rishi has met up with an English lady turned Australian.
We are delighted to have jockey Rachel King with us at Royal Ascot this year. Now, it's not just because of Royal Ascot that she's back in the UK, but 10 years ago, before we get into anything else, she set off to go to Australia to ride just for 2 months. What happened after that?
Yeah, it was a long holiday. Long but very successful holiday, and yeah, now it made Australia my home.
Your home, yes, but also a great success. 5 Group or Grade 1 wins down under. The first female jockey to win a group race in Japan. Some pretty special records you've put together.
Yeah, look, it's been an incredible, probably 10 years. Now you say 10 years, it seems like I didn't realise it's quite that long, but look, Australia's been fantastic for me. I think just getting opportunities, and it's opened more doors, you know, like you said, worldwide as well, and then getting the opportunity to, you know, hopefully come back here and kick a few goals as well.
Well, the opportunity to come back here sort of arose as a side to the fact that you got married how long ago?
On Sunday.
How was it?
It was very good, yeah. So that was sort of the main reason we were coming back again. We actually got engaged 12 months ago back in England. Myself and my partner Luke, we came for a holiday and got engaged and came to Ascot. So we thought it'd be nice to come back 12 months later and tie the knot.
Well, congratulations on that. But back to business now, because how did the whole thing about riding at Royal Ascot come about? Ryan Moore was riding out in Japan, is that right? And you had a chat with him?
Yeah, look, something so similar. So we used the same manager/interpreter in Japan. So when I was there earlier in the year, I mentioned I would love to try and ride at Ascot. I knew it would be difficult. You know, it's not easy to just turn up to probably one of the biggest racing meetings in the world and you know, convince people to put you on. But I mentioned to him that I would love to do it, and you know, it would obviously make my family very proud. So he sort of suggested, you know, that Ryan might be able to help in some way. I don't know if Ryan really gave his manager many sort of options in the case. I think he just told him he was doing it and he could help me. So, but Tony Hind has helped me. He's been fantastic. Look, he was very keen to jump on board, and he's done a good job to get me a few rides.
Yeah, you've got a couple certainly booked already. Possible more to come.
Yeah, I've got one on Thursday and one on Friday, and they've both actually got slight Aussie connections. The one on Thursday is owned by OTI Racing and Terry Henderson, who I've ridden plenty for in Australia, and Friday is actually Yulong, who again I've sort of ridden plenty for. But you know, 2 two trainers I'm really looking forward to, in Jessica Harrington and the Gosden team. So they're definitely a big sort of bucket list kind of tick, definitely, and hopefully we can get one or two Saturday.
Well, the accent's changed ever so slightly, but welcome home to Rachel King, and good luck at Royal Ascot this week.
Thank you so much.
And Michelle, you always say that you think it's about opportunity for a lot of jockeys, male, female, but Rachel had to go to Australia to find those opportunities, and she worked really hard, didn't she? Initially with Gay Waterhouse, and then got her foot in the door, and from then the winners have just started coming.
Yeah, she worked extremely hard. She was actually, putting in all the hard yards for years, and then all of a sudden everybody saw her talent, and she's been killing it. She's ridden 5 Group 1 winners. She rides for all the best trainers in Sydney, and how good to see her back here riding at Royal Ascot.
And Asfora's going to stay over here, isn't she?
Yeah.
Numthorpe, that type of race, the future as well. So there might be more Australian celebrations to come this summer. Right, if you're just joining us this afternoon, people coming in all the time, here's what you've missed so far, with lots still to come, mind. It started with the Queen Anne, over a mile. The French went right, the Brits went left, and Sharon won it, a first Group 1 at the Royal Meeting for trainer and jockey. Then came a big story in the Coventry Stakes. 18-year-old winning jockey, Billy Loughnane. For Brian Meehan, the Sangster colours winning at the Royal Meeting again. How Robert would have loved this, and how the bookies loved it. The first 4 were knockout prices. And Mum and Dad were incredibly proud, and rightly so. And we have just seen the Aussies winning again, sprinting at Ascot. We saw Nature Strip, who won 2 years ago with his new career show jumping. Asfora won it. She was brilliant. Oisin Murphy winning.